Hey everybody, welcome back to another RCT2 review. If you have stuck it out this far through all of our head-to-head 9 reviews, congratulations, we have now made it through the round-robin play and we are into the semifinals. There are 4 teams remaining in 2 semifinals. This first semifinal features the Tile Inspectors versus Logan's Run, and we are going to kick it off right away with Madnat Al-Harar. This is a pretty darn impressive map made up by Who's Leon, 45%, 35% by Avenine Commuter, 19 by Tulsamir, and 1% by Biohazard. So let's jump in and take a look at this, because there's a lot of density to this. You can kind of zoom out and just see how much is going on here. Let's get rid of the buttons. So this is the Silk Festival. Is the theme, and there's all of the different parts and pieces that go into making the silk, and up to this kind of festival worship site, and flying carpets and all sorts of this like Indian Arabic type architectural blend. So let's dive right in. This is one of the denser parks I think we've seen in this head-to-head. I think what struck a lot of people right away was the palette. At first, it's kind of hard to read, and I think it can kind of continue that way a little bit. The palette and just some of the textures make it almost a little grainy, which can be a little hard on the eyes. So it takes maybe a little bit to adjust to it and kind of get your bearings as you come on in here. But so we're going to come through this fabulous entrance, very grand entrance. Love these Sphinx. That's a pretty clever use of the original game object. Across this great arch bridge. I feel like we have a lot of head-to-head parks that start with a nice arch bridge. To this kind of fantastic palatial space here, using both some new age type objects like our half diagonals, and then also just standard track architecture. So let's get in here and we can see that we've got single rail, we've got bobsled track, we've got the double spine for the steeplechase. It looks like there's some regular monorail in there. There's also all of the statue CTRs that have been built through the contest so far. So it is an amalgamation of just stuff on top of stuff on top of stuff. But there's just so much to see. So as we kind of venture through the main level here, and I'll spin around to the back side as we sort of wrap around. You got all these little bazaar shops through here. This kind of great brick / dirt / whatever texture of ground. As you come back to the actual, festival worship type site. So you have all the people up top here, all the peeps down here. We've got, I guess, some VIP types up here. This great like tapestry kind of hanging down, elevators and everything, and then here down below we've got all these I don't know, worshipers or whatever they may be down below for all the cotton and silk, I guess, for all this. And then flying overhead you've got all these different creatures. So we've got the birds here, Falcon's Flight. We've got this let me see if I can actually click on it. There we go. The carpet trips, so there's a couple of different carpet routes kind of used like transport rides throughout, but there's just a ton of stuff to see. And let's keep on looking here, just kind of taking some of these buildings as we go. We've got this great kind of structure here. Just the way that everything builds on each other, it's very highly detailed, very highly textured, as is a lot of Arabic Indian type architecture. You've got a lot of that sort of either mosaic tile or just really heavy, densely detailed stuff. We have the whirling dervishes up here. This is one of Rumi's old rides from Head 8. Nice use of color, despite the fact that it is very brown, very orange through the space. There's a lot of nice pops of color that really help out the whole space. So pretty cool. Love this curve ramp as it comes up, and just some of the various details throughout. These little store cutaways. You got this great tapestries hanging around and everything. And we haven't even gotten to any of the rides yet. So over on this side, we've got this great Rock's Nest kind of spinning ride. and another kind of cutaway and all these different shops and things. But if we go towards the front, we've got this sort of chasm that we walked over on the way in, with all this landscape down in here. I really love this kind of thick greenery throughout the space. It really kind of sets off the whole thing. But we've got a couple of cool coasters here. So this first one we're going to look at is part of, I guess, the silk making process. You can see it down here actually as a custom ride. So this is the loom threads as they go around using the fan blades over here. Let's pick up the coaster here as it wraps around to take off. This is a sacred loom up and over this wheel. It's amazing how much this object has gotten use, especially in Tile Inspectors parks. That and the little small wheels, those are definitely the MVP objects, I feel like, for their team. Nice kind of flowy layout. Certainly not talking realism here, but it actually has just a nice flow overall. I kind of like these kind of beefy, thicker supports. It gives you a little bit of span in between the columns and makes it sort of feel like it's built up a little bit. But honestly, the real star here is all these cool gears and using the tunnel from the Haunted Ride and everything to kind of spin this the silk. You can see down here as we dig in a little further, you've got some of these little pots of different colors and things like that. Just all sorts of just layered detail as you go through the space. And we'll spin it around here to this side, and you can see the different colors using a pretty clever idea here of the top spin ride as this loom station. So kind of, pumping out these different rugs and fabrics and everything else. So very cool. Coming up down there from the ground. Up top here, we've got kind of these all little huts and different shacks and things. So you kind of feel like this is all the supporting for everything that you see here, kind of the nicer, we'll call it, area up top. Another good shot of all those half diagonals and everything. So if we spin around to the other side, we've got a couple more things to look at. So down here, again, those wheels making heavy use. So way down below, we've got this kind of push-pull tracked ride down here called Cocoon Harvest, which we'll see popping up again. And then we've got this other one here. This is called the Beggar, wooden type mine train thing cruising around. Again, nice supports, kind of goes through the space without blocking terribly much. I do love these just kind of little buildings that almost look like they're cut into the cliff, sort of almost fade into the background there, but it's a nice detail, nice texture thing. And then same with this, you've got these nice cliff rocks over here using Tolsmir's rock work that just sits very nicely within that carved space. So this area across the whole park, I feel like, is almost the most successful of the different areas, mostly because of how well it sets off against the backdrop. So the colors here with this real rich, kind of heavily saturated green, and then you've got your oranges and everything else that kind of sit off against that, really help make this just bright and looks really, really nice. Here we'll zoom in at the ride here, which is kind of a cool one, using the vehicle editor with the hand truck and then the little mine cars in between. So kind of neat to see that. Up here we've got one more coaster. So this one here is Resurrection. This is the wooden coaster, and you can kind of get rid of all the scenery, which actually does very, very little for clarity. But you can kind of see the coaster swooping in through here. This one does kind of follow the same complaint that I had if we go all the way back to Stardust, or the racing one, Stardust Circuit, is that you can't really follow the coaster very well. It's kind of hidden throughout the space, and thankfully it generally follows a somewhat logical layout, so it's pretty easy to see this kind of sort of double out and back style here, but it's a little bit difficult to see, especially when you're hiding it with so much stuff. And we get into that challenge with this kind of a park, and you see it in a number of the comments for which, largely positive for this park, but The kind of one detraction is the amount of stuff layered on top of each other makes it a little bit hard to read. And I would agree with that. It absolutely is hard to read in some spots, but given your size constraints for the head-to-head competition, now at the semifinals, the size can go up a little bit more than what it was before. But you're still trying to pack in as much detail as you can, and the way to pack in detail is to go up and to go down. So you layer everything on there, and there's quite a bit to see throughout the whole space. Um, and that's kind of what it comes down to. Love these kind of palatial architecture pieces here using the RMC track here, which really is become its own architecture in itself. But there's just a whole lot of great details and things like that within the space, and so many kind of clickable things using the using these custom rides too. So you've got these rug salesmen here. It's like flying carpets. So these ones out here, for example, like on the displays, and then there's just all sorts of different vendors and things like that, all little shops, and there's just so much life to all the different areas. Nothing feels stagnant or kind of dead. So it's kind of a wonder that they managed to squeeze in as much as it did. And for me, this ended up being one of my favorite parts of the contest. Just as far as the density and the quality and just the object usage goes. When I first opened it, I wasn't a huge fan, being honest. It was a lot for your eyes. Kind of took some time to get adjusted, and you had to spend a lot of time looking at it and really just seeing what kind of stuff there was to see, and kind of break it down in your head. But you can't fault it. It's definitely cool, definitely detailed and dense, and just has so many really interesting little just bits of pieces to see. Legal kart race or carpet racing here. There's just all the different parts and pieces going through the space. So this is one especially. I encourage you to download the file. Take a look yourself. You can spend a lot of time in this one and really kind of lose yourself in the map, because there's just so much to see and really do. So we're gonna call it for this one. Next video, we're gonna be back with a special guest as we review the Logan's Run entry, who was competing against this. Definitely a tall order to go up against this map, but check that one out, and then we'll be back for the semifinal number 2 before we move on to the third place match and then the grand final. So thanks for sticking with us so far through this series, and I hope to see you in the next one. Thank you guys very much for watching. Have a great day. Bye now.